Good morning, guys. A little after 5 a.m. and it is Sunday, and we've got her fired up. We're working with some HD chrome, and again, when I say chrome, I literally mean chrome. Coming over here, of course, we can see our Epson, and she's doing her thing. And again, this is the P7000. We still get lots and lots of questions about this unit. These graphics are being done for a client. Again, they're photographics, and using the HD metal chrome gives you the true effect of that mirror finish that many guys want to go for if they're looking for extreme pop. Now, of course, your actual variables will always be the inks being used on this material. We do get lots of questions about using this material. It's going to be a question of the printer you're using in terms of the quality of inks. Typically, the pigment type inks are going to give you a much better color palette, but again, it's an inkjet printable material, and you can use it with cheaper printers. And I've already explained this before. I do not recommend using a $100 to $200 printer. You're looking usually at a $300 to $600 printer, unless you're using wide format, which once again, the P7000, it's a sheer color, and it is using the ultra chrome inks. And you can see the effect you get. It's just truly amazing. We'll wait for this to come out. We get lots of questions on settings and ICC profiles for the printer on these. Now, the issue with this is that you have to understand the variables in which you're asking. Okay, when manufacturers provide, and when I say manufacturer, I mean manufacturers of printers provide ICC profiles, they're expecting you to use their materials generally. And they're just basically, point and click type settings. It's not a guarantee of an exact setting naturally for your printer. No different than if you were painting and you decided to buy, DuPont paint, fill your spray gun with it, and they might tell you, this is an average percentage of air PSI to set your gun to, and you're going to get the exact results. It never happens that way. It never does. I've never seen it that way. And again, it's a general setting. We really don't mess with our settings too much on this printer. Again, I believe it's due to the quality of it. You really don't have to play with it too much. On the higher end printers, you'll notice that as well. Your color palette usually is pretty much dead nuts on as far as how it's going to be reproduced if you're using the proper editing software to go through and re-edit your colors. Prior printers, I've seen a lot of color remastering having to be done, but overall, you can see as this is coming out, you can see it start coming out. So again, the big question here is what is your expectation? What is your client's expectation? And how creative are you? Okay, this material, I can tell you, when you're using basic vinyl settings that come with most Epsons, most Canons, some HPs, I don't say all HPs, I don't feel the quality of the HP print inks is going to be necessarily on par with Epson and Canon. And again, in price comparability, this is something you guys might want to look at, see which one you're happy with. We hear a lot of clients purchasing used equipment to get involved with the business structure. But again, if you're buying used equipment, and I can't emphasize this enough, and it does not use OEM inks or has at one point used OEM inks, and then we're using aftermarket inks to save money, odds are your palette is going to be screwed up. And the reason it is because they're not mastering the actual art of the color palette that comes from the OEM manufacturer. Now, I'll get arguments on that sometimes. And I'm going to tell you right now, 99.9% of the time, I'm correct with it. There's a reason that the durability and, of course, the finished product comes out the way it should. And if you look at those Futaba Fast logos, as I come over here, you can see that reflection. Even in the logo itself, you can see just how reflective that is. That's the finish that we're talking about getting with the color palette. So again, keep in mind, this printer is, of course, high-end, easily $3,000 to $5,000. Again, we purchased ours new, all OEM inks. but you can see what I'm talking about with the color palette. When I see guys playing around with inks and different chemistries, you have no idea what durability, number one, you're going to get, and of course, what the finished product is going to look like on the substrate you're using. So you've got to be careful what you do. Everyone wants to save money. That's logical. Don't save money where you, so to speak, cut your nose to spite your face, because I'm telling you right now, even breaking down a print of this size, this is 13 by 23, these sheets, you can easily sell a full sheet for between $30 to $60. And again, doing straight decals. I mean, I'm not even talking about doing fine artwork or doing anything that requires any type of custom work. These were already actually produced. There's nothing custom being done here as far as me having to do anything, just load and go. So again, these are things to think about. Once again, we got our flags coming in here. You can see that mirror. The main thing here is that you guys are being reasonable with the expectations of your own equipment and learning your own equipment. Okay, anyone can hit the print button. That's not what's going to separate your work from others. The difference is going to be the detail work. I did a previous video on lamination. That's the art. Everything else is pretty easy, but that's the art, because the robots handle most of the other work. Once you can do lamination, and whether you do a manual or you purchase a high-end auto laminator or semi-auto laminator, you're going to find out real quick that's where the skill comes in, because it's essentially putting that clear coat effect over your graphics for protection, longevity. But if the inks being used are not correct or are weak as far as their quality, you're certainly going to see that, so are your clients. So pay very close attention to what you're spending. I cannot emphasize that enough. Inks are not cheap for a reason, and the OEM manufacturer, especially Epson, Canon, they're going to test everything that's out. HP, no different. The main thing is that you're using the best of the best, and if you are purchasing, like I stated, secondhand equipment, make sure you get as much information from the end user who used it as possible. If you're purchasing from a factory or you're purchasing from another graphic artist or a self-proclaimed graphic artist, be careful what they tell you, guys. I hate to say that, but you know, we all have the ability to lie, and as humans, it's typical. I'm just going to be honest with you. Especially when someone's trying to off a big printer because they know they can't usually ship these that easy. Be very careful on what you're told. You can see that finish right there. Just panning so you can see that reflection. It is amazing. So again, this will get laminated with 3M8518, no different than the others. Use the same wet lamination process you saw in the previous video. And just keep the questions coming. Like I said, if you're purchasing used equipment, I would ask that end user as many questions as possible. If they say, hey, the printer's only got this many hours, it's got a really low amount of hours, you really want to know why. If it has a really high amount of hours, that's usually a normal thing because they're making money with the printer. But make sure that the inks were never changed, or if they were swapped, how long ago they were swapped, if the head's been cleaned. These are all common questions on large format printers, and that's why typically you'll find them on Craigslist and other areas online that they're selling for thousands less than what's typically offered in retail. You'll find very quickly, like many other fields, there is no free lunch in the sense of your equipment. The robot does its job, and you do your job paying attention to the details, the money will follow. You can see exactly what we've got here coming out. Those ultra chrome inks are no joke on this material. It lays it down so nice, so smooth. So again, really just pay attention to your details as far as any used equipment. Pay attention more to your settings on your printer in terms of the basic settings. Check your color palettes. ICC profiles, once again, are very hard to come by because everyone's inks are usually different. And again, that's why OEM distributors of printers only provide ICC profiles, because they realize their inks are OEM. Once you change from OEM inks, you're going to have a different ICC profile most of the time. Is it a big variance? Not usually, if it's done well, but there are a lot of cheaper inks out there, guys. And when you're paying for, again, you know, a couple $100s for a cartridge, or in this case, it is a couple hundred, depending on the size of the cartridge you use, you're going to see a dramatic difference in quality if you're dropping 30-40% off the price. We see it done all the time. Guys think, well, I'm buying in bulk, that's why it's so cheap. No, not necessarily. So be very cautious with that. Durability here is everything, and our clients expect a certain type of finish, and of course durability as far as lifespan. You have to pay attention to that. You're responsible for it. So again, she's finishing up here. You can see those small flags in there too. I'll see if I can focus. There we go. We're good there. Here we go. Okay guys, this part of the video I wanted to show, which we're actually using the Suma on the mirror reflective chrome, and it's pretty amazing when you see this being done, just how easy this is. If you go by their standard and they're talking about using a yellow tinted piece on the actual Opus system as far as the camera, you're not going to get any type of scanning to be done. Once you actually use the proper tinted film, you can see this cuts like a dream, and going right through, you can see exactly what we've got here. And again, with the 3M8518, you can see the finished product. And it certainly beats purchasing another machine, because when I contacted Suma about cutting chrome material, they were adamant that this machine is not designed for chrome material and you need to go with the camera system, and that's not true. You don't. You need to tint the actual scanning sensor on here using the proper size piece of vinyl, and it's got to be a somewhat translucent tint, and you're golden. And you can see this is cutting out absolutely perfect. Now the HD metal chrome is of course a heavier material in terms that it is an actual metal substrate in terms of the laminate over the vinyl. So you're definitely going to need more cutting force. Suma does this like a toy. Yes, we're also using 2 passes. Joanna just chimed in and let me know that, and that's true. We like to use multiple passes on thicker material. It's seldom discussed in the industry, but it does help on anything you're uncertain of. You don't have to use more force. The Suma is exceptional when it comes to doing 2 passes. It really, really does make a difference. Other cutters we've noticed, you don't always see the difference, but doing 2 passes on your thicker materials are a real quick way to guarantee perfection. She's just finishing up here with some finer text. You'll see our smaller American flags. Definitely see that tangential head going crazy. And there you go. So again, guys, that was about 3 minutes, this entire section of the video, and you saw how fast that robot went in real time and did its job. Thank you. Take care.